There you are. Hey, welcome. Greetings from the Erie Coast. This is Mad Shad. This is another episode of the Zoot Report. The Sunroof edition. Ding. What we're going to talk about today, oh man, something that I've been doing for many decades now. Living within your means. Oh, yeah. Living within your means. You know that most people are in debt. Most people they've got a $50,000 car, they've got a $400,000 house, they're buying things. If the monthly payment fits into their budget, they go for it. They're like, let's go. Yeah. I got a house, a car, a boat, a motorcycle. I got all these things, but you can't enjoy it because you're working 60, 70 hours a week. You know? What the fuck? Oh man, I've got the latest guns, and guns at least you can. I guess there's payment plans. I don't know. But, everybody is just, hey, let's go into payment plan. Let's get a credit card, right? I mean, think about the kids nowadays that have student loans that they will never, ever pay off. They'll pay them off when they're like, when my age, 50s, 60s, and 70s. Like, finally got out of student loan debt. Hope they did well in their gender studies and underwater basket weaving. Hope they made that a career, because you're still paying for it. When I was young adult, I thought the same way. I was like, man, I'm gonna get a credit card. I'm gonna buy me a car from the dealership. I'm gonna, eventually I'm gonna buy a house. And all I gotta make sure is that I can pay for it every month, right? Well, guess what? I was stupid and bought more, had more on payment plans than I ever thought were possible. Phones fucked me up. That was all about some phones. And I incurred the roaming charges. Yeah, that was back in the day when they charged you roaming charges. And I was like, what the fuck am I doing? This is a trap. This is an absolute trap. Like, they fucking just got me and they sweet talked me too. Oh, it's fine. Yeah, we can always just, whatever. Yep. Car got repoed. Fucking, the house thing never panned out. It's like, okay, all right. Well, this is stupid. My credit card. I was so in debt with the credit card. I never paid it, by the way. I couldn't. It just turned into shit, and they wrote it off as a loss. That was early on. Now that it's not on my credit score, But I was like, holy fuck, man, I can't live this way. So I don't know where I heard it or whatever. Maybe I'm talking to some wise people. They're like, live within your means. You live within your means. Find a cheap apartment, get a used car or two, so that way you can always have a ride to work. Eat beans and rice. Don't get a credit card. I even had, I think I lost it somewhere. They don't do it no more. I think a certified credit card where, if something happened, I had a credit card that had $500 on it that I preloaded, right? Like, boom, here's $500. But hell, they started charging me on that too. So I was like, well, fuck. I mean, I had to learn. that, okay, checking and banking, there are fees. There are fees, and if I didn't have enough money in the checking account, that they would, their fees would literally drain my bank account. If I, thinking that I could just leave the money in the bank, and I go, all right, well, hey, I need $300. No, you got 3 cents. Yeah, you haven't checked it in like 6 months. Like, what the fuck? What? Why all these fees? Yeah. So learning how the bank works, learning how life works, that everybody wants money from you. Everybody. Everybody's on a payment plan. And I'm like, you know what? No more payment plans. If I can't pay for it outright, I don't need it. If I need something, then I'll just save up the money and get it. And it worked. It fucking worked. I have made like little loans from the bank here and there, and it's perfect because they take it right out of my paycheck. I never see it, and it's such a small little payment that it didn't affect me much. I negotiated my payment plan. Like, no, let's drag this thing out as long as possible, lowest fucking payment, and eventually, after about a year or two, it was paid off. I didn't even know it was paid off. I just totally forgot about it. And I used that money for whatever I was using it for. And that in turn raised my credit score. The whole credit score thing, I don't know. I think I get that from my mom. My mom, she's on SSI, disability, whatever, but she'll take out a loan from the bank, $1,000, $2,000, whatever. I don't know why. She really doesn't have much, and then she'll just pay it off from the bank, and she raises her credit score. Like, Mom, you're like a ward of the state here. You know what I mean? You're on the dole queue, but you have a better credit score than me. I'm like, wow. All right, I gotta negotiate this merger into traffic. All right, folks, I'm doing this. Intentions. Signal my intentions, and here we are. Boom, here we go. There are so many people nowadays that do not live within their means. Everything is on a payment plan. Now, I did have, I had some, insurance. Yeah, that's a great thing. Your insurance plan, your medical insurance from your work, whatever. I remember back in the day when Aflac was a thing. I had Aflac, and lost my job and still got paid. I was able to take a whole freaking summer off from work. I was like, wow, that's great. They paid me directly. They didn't pay my bills, they paid me. So I was able to pay whatever I needed to pay or wanted to pay. But it made me realize, going into, credit card debt, getting a car repoed and all that because I didn't make payments. I realized that it's a trap. It's an absolute trap. It is designed to enslave you for the rest of your life. Because you can always come in and go, you know what? Can we renegotiate? Can we lower these payments and stretch out Oh yeah, sure, it's going to be more interest. I mean, you're literally paying sometimes double, what you borrowed, what you're paying off. Like, this is a scam. A car does not cost $50,000 at the end of 10 years. I mean, would it take me 10 years? It wouldn't take me 10 years to save up $50,000. Of course, who can, right? Who can save $50,000 in 10 years? I mean, it's possible, if you're able to save up just a little bit, $2,000 a month, a year, for 10 years, it's $6,000, right? I don't know. Is my math correct? I think so. But everything is on a payment plan. If you haven't noticed, everything is rented. Even your house. I mean, I'm 50 years old, and if I bought a house right now, I would be paying it off. I would never pay it off. I would never be able to pay it off. I would be 80 years old at the end of a 30-year mortgage, right? Or something, whatever the case may be, a 15, whatever. Because I wouldn't be able to pay it off. Maybe, just maybe, I could make some more money and get aggressive on the payment plans, and eventually it's paid off. But then I've got property taxes, and there's insurance while I'm making this payment. Because the bank wants to insure the property because they're going to get it back. They know it's a good chance that I will fail, or they could force a failure. I've seen this. They force somebody to fail on their payments, and now they own the house again, and now they're making more money off the house. These banks and all that, they're making. You buy a property for $400,000. You pay off. You give them about $300,000 of your money, or $200,000, whatever. They take it back, and then they just continue the cycle. Somebody else gets into it and pays off $200,000, $300,000. That piece of property, that $400,000 property, has already made them $2 million. The course of them holding the note on it, because nobody's able to pay it off. Or they'll pay it off and say, you know what, it's time to sell, time to liquidate all assets. No, I mean, I just learned, live within my means. Yeah, I might push things to the limit. I just bought another Pew Pew. So for me, it's like paycheck to paycheck, which timing is perfect because paycheck is not far away. And I keep my bills low, right? Bare minimum, bare necessities. I pay for a storage unit. I pay for a phone. I pay for insurance on my cars. I pay for rent. And I'm not trying to get into a payment plan. I'm not getting a credit card. There's no need. I budget. I budget myself. I know I make X amount of money. X amount of money has to go out of that. I got money coming in, X amount, and I got money coming out, X amount. And the rest is just preps, stuff I need, stuff I want. Yeah, gas, shit like that, Which, think about it, you gotta really budget to. Folks nowadays, I mean, you're starting families, and all these things, and you get pressured. And said, well, I gotta buy a house. Yeah, I gotta give my kid the best life, right? Better than what I got, which means that everything's got to be on a payment plan. What? Yeah. kid doesn't know it. The kid is just like living its best life, right? You know, you're a good mom, you're a good dad, but you're financially just stretched to the limit. You know, at least a kid doesn't eat much. I don't know. You know, it doesn't cost much to feed a kid. You know. But how are you gonna eat? You're gonna be eating beans and rice. You know what I'm saying? You're eating beans and rice for years, for 18 years. Finally, when the kid leaves the house, be like, wow, we can afford steaks now. Oh yeah, the older they get, the more they eat, the more expensive it gets. I also have 2 retirement plans. I got 2 retirement things. You know, not that I'm telling you all my business, nor am I a financial guru and authorized to teach anyone. I've made a lot of mistakes, but I think from my mistakes, oh great, now we have a slow down. Slow down. Early in the morning. Fuck, man. But I've learned from the mistakes I've made. You know, I learned by watching other people. I mean, it's great. They have all this cool gear, all this cool shit, but you know, and yeah, I've done that. I remember when I was younger, I was like, man, I got a lot of bills to pay, so I'm doing all the work I possibly can. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying. I'm getting in that overtime. I'm working 60, 70 hours a week. You know, I'm taking on 2-3 jobs. I just had no life. None whatsoever. And that's the struggle, that's the hustle, right? You know, and I found it easier when I went to the beach. I had a career, you know, as pest control. I had the career. And it afforded me a lot of money, but I had a lot of obligations, and I eventually, you know, got fired from that anyway. So, repeatedly, eventually left that from time to time. And when they would fire me, I would just go somewhere else. I would go to a convenience store. I threw papers. Right? It was a lot easier for me to just transition into something else, because I wasn't really tied in, and I wasn't dependent upon all that money. So I could pick and choose. I could say, you know what, fuck you guys, I'm out of here, and I'm gonna go do something else. And they're like, but you need a job. I was like, I don't need much of a job, to tell you the truth. Yeah, there's a wreck up ahead. Oh man. Hope this don't make me late. It might. Yeah, they got my lane blocked off. It sucks. Early morning commute. Here we are. In a sea of cars. Anyway. It also, my mentality of not having payments, not having, you know, things that I had to, you know, pay. I was not subservient. I was not able to. I didn't succumb to their obligations. You know, where they're like, well, I other people that were in the job, they're like, I gotta do what they say. Whether it's right or wrong, I gotta do what they say. You know, because I got too many bills. I got too many payments I gotta make. I was like, well, that sucks. That sucks to be you, my friend. It really does. You know, and if there's, I didn't have to I didn't have to compromise myself. I didn't have to compromise my morals. You know, I could still keep my ethos. Whereas everybody else was like, well, fuck, I gotta do what they say. Because I got these payments coming out every month. Like, I get it. I get it. But I can't. And I tried it. I did. I tried being the company man. You know, okay, I'll do what you say. Yeah, I don't agree with this. I think it's very unethical, but all right, whatever. And yeah, couldn't sleep at night. And did I bounce around from job to job? Yeah, sure did. I sure did. Sure. And they always, you know, found a way to get me back in. That was the thing. They're like, well, we're going to fire you to punish you. I'm like, okay, you're actually giving me a break. But all right, you know, because I've saved up money. I have money. I have a backup plan. I can just go work at the convenience store and be fine. I'll be fine. Is everybody's getting over? What the fuck? Oh man, what the fuck? But having that payment plan or series of payment plans, you know, hovering over your head, obligating you to, you know, do as you're told, be a good wage slave. There's no way to live. It is no way to live. I can't do it. You know. Luckily, I have a job that now that I found that has high integrity. You know, that was the thing for me. And most jobs I worked at, there was no integrity. You know, people were stealing left and right. People were fucking each other over left and right. It just, you know. And here I am trying to be a good person and have my morals, ethics, and virtues, you know. And everybody else is just like dog eat dog, cutthroat shit. Like, no, I can't do that. I can't. Why would I want to do that? Why would I want to? Why would I want to compromise my ethos just because of company policy or procedure? You know, no, I'm not doing it. Or for some ill-gotten personal gains. No, I'm good. And I noticed, you know, in observation, it's because these people had payment plans. They were not living within their means. You know, they all had brand new fucking cars. Here I am in a used car. You know, they're talking about their brand new cars. Ha ha ha. Look at this guy with his fucking hoopty. You know, like, yeah, my shit's paid for. You're still paying for that fucking thing. Yeah, but it's not new and shiny. It's not status quo. It's not, you know, society has trained us to be, you know, we have to keep up with the Joneses. We have to look the part. We got to be ticky tacky. We got to have the new shit, the new iPhones, the new buds, the new cars, all these things. I mean, I I bought a new car once in my life, Zoot, and I paid cash for it. Like, bam, here you go. Here's a cashier's check. It's mine. What? But don't you want to make payments? And no. Fuck some payments. Here's a cashier's check. It is mine. I'm driving it away, and you'll never see it again. And I have no ties to you whatsoever. I am not beholden to you. I am not obligated for any fucking reason for you. Now, funny thing though. I fucked up the transmission on it, and they gave me a new transmission because of some kind of very obscure recall. But yeah, I mean, talk about being pissed. Like, damn it, we didn't get him on the payment plan. Because that's how they get paid. That's how they get their commissions. You know, over time, they fucking make their money. You know, they get a big fat check off the top, and then, you know, siphon off a little more with every payment plan. I just said, fuck all that. Here's some money. You get your lump sum. There you go. So thus I have learned to live within my means. You know, it helps. It helps that I have a preparedness mindset. Doesn't help that I'm addicted to gear and guns. You know, but I save up for it. Nothing's on a payment plan. I'm not flashing my credit card. And I buy good enough shit. Good enough gear, good enough stuff, you know, to, and then I take care of it and I improve on it. I might not have the Gucci gear. Matter of fact, it's more Frankenstein gear. There's Condor, there's American Eagle, there's Black Hawk, there's all kinds of different name brands in my gear. You know, whatever works, whatever's relatively cheap. I like to buy mid-tier. You know, mid-tier to not. Sometimes I'll buy high tier, but usually it's mid-tier. You know, surplus, used, great stuff. It works just fine. You know, and I knew this from the military, from the Marine Corps. You know, it just works. It just works. And, you know, of course, 2 is 1, 1 is none. So, buy 2. You know, that unforeseeable event happens where you fuck up your gear. Well, okay, great. You know, I got another one. You know, or I got a spare, or I've got a lesser version. I can always go back. I can always go tier down, because that's what I'm used to anyway. Works just as good. And hell yeah, beans and rice, baby. Beans and rice. You know, buy meat on sale, freeze that shit. Buy it before it's you know, before it's expiration date. Freeze that shit. Take it home, freeze it, and then hell, you can even can it and prolong it. You know, I've never went hungry. There's a few times I've been hungry. You know, but I never pulled up, slapped my credit card down and said, "Oh, okay, I need steak and shrimp today." But I do that too. I got a little extra money, I'll have a payday feast. I know all my bills are paid, and I'm like, fuck it, steak and shrimp night. Or I'm hitting the fucking all you can eat buffet, whatever. You know. I still treat myself. It's just not caviar and fucking, you know, whatever. I live within my means, and I live really good. I have to say. So, you might want to reevaluate all those payment plans you're in. Because, you know, those people go bankrupt, they make mistakes, they get predatory. You know, they can foreclose on your house. They can say, well, you know what, we said this is eminent domain, so we're going to take all your property anyway. We're going to fudge the numbers, and you know, sorry, I know you haven't, you know, it says here in our bank account, or in our records that you haven't paid your bills. You haven't made a payment in like 16 months. Like, bullshit, I never miss a payment. Well, it says here, sorry, we won't take it. I knew somebody that had to get a lawyer. Come to find out, the banker was making a deal with the with the land developer. I'm like, well, fuck. He had to get a lawyer. So yeah, I don't have all these problems. I stay out of the system. Maybe one day I'll buy a house. I don't know. I'd rather prefer just land. The more I think about it, though, the more I just, I really don't want to be beholden to people. I really don't want to be that obligated to the system. It changes my whole ethos. So thank you all for hanging out with me in this Zoot Report. Skull, everyone. Skull. Live within your means.